Hi everyone, this is Chantay. Welcome to Chantay Analysis. Shantizi. I am coming to you today, Monday, May 18th, with some stuff. It was a pretty jam-packed day, but not crazy. But I got some stuff for you guys, and here it goes. So, coronavirus. I always start with coronavirus because coronavirus is what we're going through right now as a nation. So most of us are still quarantined in our houses. Some of us states may reopen as of last week. Some states are reopening this week, and some are reopening at the end of this month. So here we are. So that is the first thing I'm going to cover. Of course, the federal response, we at 1.5 million cases of COVID, and it's over 90,000 in terms of fatal casualties. So, casualties of the virus. So that's where we are. And of course, on a federal level, there is no testing. So that is where the country is right now. In terms of the financial implications, I already expressed it. We had 36.5 million unemployed, and counting. The jobs report comes out on every Thursday. So I will give you those numbers for those who don't watch the coverage all day, or those who don't watch press conferences. I know some of you guys work and some of you guys just want to stay away from it. So I get it. I understand. But that's where the country is right now. In terms of the leader of the free world, of his response, he was at a press conference. He had a press conference today. I don't know what the event was in particular, but he expressed his comments on hydroxychloroquine. So for those who don't know about this particular drug, hydroxychloroquine, I always get it mixed up because it's a big science word. It's a drug that basically is for people that take lupus to monitor their with lupus cure malaria, but mostly treats for lupus. Because lupus is a immunal disease. Most likely women get it. And I know women of color normally has lupus. So that's what that particular drug is used for. So, as you know, Donald Trump has been pushing this hydroxychloroquine as a way to cure coronavirus, as all the other crazy remedies that he had, this was one of the few. And so this drug was actually found as fatal for people that don't have immunocompromised disease, because this drug doesn't actually cure coronavirus. But from the speech, I watched some of it. He's claimed a staff member has signed off to approve hydroxychloroquine as a cure, as a treatment for coronavirus, which we all know that's kind of like false. He also admitted that he is taking the drug. So he's been taking the drug for about a week and a half, according to what he is saying. He also claims that the White House physician approved for him to take this drug. And he claims that frontline workers are also taking hydroxychloroquine to cure coronavirus. So I'm assuming, do they have coronavirus? And he also claims that he also received a lot of letters from different physicians around the country, including physicians in Westchester, which is a stark warning, that no one died from hydroxychloroquine. And he also said, what do we have to lose? We have to take it. So my thoughts on this is, one, does Donald Trump have coronavirus? Because why is he taking hydroxychloroquine, and why has he been taking it for a whole week? Anybody can tell me why? Second, why are you pushing a drug which you were warned by the VA, the Veteran Affairs, that people have died? I think in one of the VA hospitals or the nursing facilities of the VA has died from taking hydroxychloroquine because you pushed the drug. This drug it's not for people that have coronavirus. It's for people that have immunocompromised disease such as lupus and malaria. So I'm not understanding where's that coming from. And my other thought is, why would you promote something like this? Like, why? It makes absolutely no sense at all. But he has supporters that will listen to him and that will actually take it, because they follow everything that he do, like with the whole protesters. But I'm going to cover the protesters in a few. But that's what he's pushing. So that's what we are. That's where we are right now. In terms of Fox News, so the Five, that's what they're called. That's the show. Fox News is, well, people call it Trump TV. I always call it the Republican channel, the right-wing channel, because they're the ones that are pushing conspiracy theories and have been doing it before Trump came into office. They was doing it during the Obama administration. So they basically react to Trump's statement, and they think that he is so ballsy that he's doing this thing and it's so right and so strong. My thought process was, how ignorant. If President Obama, right, was pushing first of all, was the president right now, handling this a pandemic and pushing a drug, what would happen, hypothetically? Not saying that President Obama will let this go nationwide, but what happened if he was to push a drug knowing that it will kill people instead of them naturally resolving from the virus? Because that's how a lot of people have recovered, because they resolved from the virus. Like over 350,000 people resolved from the virus. So my thing is like, what would the Five do if President Obama was pushing this drug? What would they say? They wouldn't have been praising him. They wouldn't have been at all. Right? So here we are. I think these are political games being played during a pandemic, and it shouldn't be, because almost 100,000 people are almost dead from this virus. That is people that I know, not people from my family, but people that I know personally, that I grew up around, that I look at them as like symbol women, older experienced women, pastors I knew that died from this virus. And you guys want to sit there and saying that Trump is strong and Trump is this and that, and promoting deadly drugs when people just could resolve from this on their own? Like, honestly, to tell you the truth, it's blasphemy. It's very, I'm just like flabbergasted with this whole entire way that the GOP is reacting to all of these things. That how it's no outrage from the GOP, because any normal GOPer will see their any president will act like this, especially if it was a Democratic president right now. Like I said, even though this wouldn't happen under a Democratic administration, they would lose their whole entire mind, right? Lose their whole entire mind. And the next thing you know, we have the most incompetent guy in this office within my 34 years of life. I never saw a guy who hold the highest office of the land as the president of the United States would say reckless and dangerous things, and people will actually follow, and people will lose and risk their lives. So we got to take a second and think, like, do we listen to the guy that holds the highest office of the land, or we listen to our local government? And some of us got good local government officials, and some just have out this world whoopity doopity crazy ones, like the guy that holds the highest office of the land. It's like we're at a divided ideologue whirlwind of craziness right now, right? Like, that's where we are. I will never thought I was seeing this in my young life. Imagine if I had children around this time. I wouldn't be talking about this. I would have kept them inside until there was a vaccine. They probably would have been mad at me, but like at the end of the day, like, I just can't see like how we got leaders in the world that actually say these outrageous things and not being held accountable. Because leaders that used to say outrageous things in the world, they was held accountable. Even if they were from my political party, they would have been held accountable. So this is like a whole new normal of craziness that I'm not even prepared for. That I'm still not prepared for. But this is where we are in the world, right? So no complaints of whining. And then you got media that's encouraging the stupidness. So here we are. In terms of testing as well, I slightly read an article on Black Enterprise on Twitter, how there were a couple of Black people that were having mild symptoms of COVID and they were denied testing. And next thing you know, they show up and their symptoms begin to get more severe. And so they go to the hospital and find that they died from COVID. I mean, like, the lack of testing and the rejection of testing, it just outrages me. That, to me, maybe I'm overthinking, but this is pure discrimination. Like, I'm coming to you, mild symptoms of COVID, need to get a test to see how I can resolve from this. And it could have resolved from this. But you're denying a test from me. Keep denying. And then once my symptoms get severe, you can't save me. I die on your table. Like, are you kidding me? This is like really where we are in life itself. Like, this is absolutely blasphemy. Absolutely insane. Craziness, right? Just pure craziness. Like, it astonishes me. It baffles me. It baffles me. It baffles me and it makes me flabbergasted. Like, why would you deny somebody a test? But then you give Becky and Susan a test when they have mild symptoms, right? Just really angers my soul. And completely. So, getting on to another subject in the coronavirus. I also watch, I was about to say President Cuomo. Well, he acts like a president. Governor Cuomo, because I live in New York City. And so, he covered today, well, he made a stark warning that if you have symptoms of COVID, go get a test. And I'm going to get to the testing part in a minute. But the number of hospitalizations are down. The number of ICUs are down. The cause of the cases are still down, but it's still like high because we do have the highest cases in the country. We have about 360,000 cases and counting. And the daily deaths went down because 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was in the 7s and in the 4s and in the 2s. Now it's in the 1s. So the death toll has declined. But still, we're not outside of the woods. So still wear your mask outside. In terms of testing, people that work in the nursing homes will be tested twice a week. Which I think is good because there's been cases coming out the nursing homes. And no one has been keeping track of it. So now, like, it's becoming a state mandatory thing, which I absolutely agree. I know people that was in a nursing facility. I know some folks that's still in a nursing facility. And, you know, people that's going to work don't know where they're catching COVID. And they're coming in and they're people getting sick from just being around them, like touching their skin to help change them can cause people COVID. So that's why I'm saying, you know, I'm glad they're doing this. And they will be testing 35,000 staff workers per day. In terms of reopening, Western New York is being reopened. Like I said, the downstate, like we're in, there's not reopening to another, about another week or so. So, and depending if we meet the metrics, the 7 metrics, you can look up the 7 metrics on health.ny.gov. So that's where you can look up the metrics to see where New York City is in terms of the metrics. He's also encouraging sports fans major sports corporations to play without fans, but that's going to be a whole nother conversation because honestly, I think that sports need to be held off until 2021. That's just me. And as for also testing sites, it will be testing, I think, in CVS. The state has partnered with CVS Pharmacy, so you can go on a website and check your local listings for different testing sites, so you can get the test, because it's encouraging everybody to take the test, because that's the only way we will find out, like, how can people resolve and go back to work but still wear your mask and be cautious. But I think, honestly, everybody's not going to be wanting to go back to work until it's a vaccine, which I don't blame them, because, like, you don't know this. We're still learning about this virus, and this virus moves faster than us, so we don't know how people are catching it, how people are resolving, and who can catch it again. So that's where we are. So you want to watch his speech thing, you can watch it online. Politics. So over the weekend, I believe Mike Pompeo's IG was fired by the Trump administration, the state inspector general, which is Steve Litlink. I think that's his name. And the reason why he was fired, because he was investigating Mike Pompeo's corruption and other policies that he violated, which I'm not surprised. It seems like anybody that's on the right side of the law that works in his administration, seems like they're always either getting fired or they're resigned because they're about to get fired. This is like the Saturday Night Massacre, not on the Saturday night, but this is like the Saturday Night Massacre that is like just over the top. I can't even describe what kind of Saturday Massacre this is because it's not located on a Saturday. This is more of, I'm just going to get rid of people that's not going to let me do what I want to do. It's like the executive branch is crippling the judicial system and corrupting the legislative system. And the three branches of government is supposed to be co-equal branches of government. But it seems like it hasn't been since this administration has taken over. And I can't wait till election day until we vote for a person who will put the branches back to, not branches back together, but will make the branches balance again. Will just make this country in total a democracy again. Like, seriously, make it a democracy, because I can't for the life of me with the mixed messaging, of the virus, and telling people they should go liberate and, you know, demand to reopen. And speaking of that, you have one of the co-hosts from The View, Meghan McCain. We all know the only lone Republican on staunch conservative, as she said, on the show, who during a segment of the protesters, and it was the segment of the protesters with an article by Peggy Newman of the Wall Street Journal, who said this is a culture war that we're facing with the whole protesters protesting of reopening and wanting their jobs and blah, 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 blah. And she said, yeah, it's a culture war because, you know, people want to work. Megan said people want to work and people want to, you know, they don't want to be sheltered in place too long because it will cause mental anxiety and blah, blah, blah. Okay, it will cause mental anxiety. But these folks that's protesting, honestly, they're not protesting for jobs. Let's be clear. They're protesting, honestly, because they want people like me to serve them that have essential jobs, even though I don't have an essential job. But people that look like me that do work in essential businesses or non-essential businesses like hair, nails, restaurant, shopping malls, or stores, want them to serve them, right? Because I've been seeing videos on Twitter about how some of these protesters are actually cursing people that look like me out that work in these essential and non-essential businesses that serve people, and calling all kind of B words and whatnot. So to Megan's point, honestly, I think it's bullcrap. And then she also said something that President Obama was ushered the reason why Donald Trump is in office. President Obama has nothing to do with why Donald Trump is in office. Donald Trump is in office because he's speaking of white man's guilt. Because white men feel like since the presidency of President Obama that they did not have a place in the world. He did not usher those men in. Donald Trump stoked a fear that for a long time, before President Obama, for a long time, that the white race was going to dwindle as the 21st century approaches, years later within the 21st century. Okay? This was spoke about before I was born, that people of color, whether you're black, whether you're Asian, Hispanic is black people, a black or white Hispanic, whether you're Indian, Asian American, Island Pacifica, people of color will overpopulate this country within the next 10 years. And I'm already seeing it already. Some are mixing. Biracial, multiracial couples will have more kids. Like, this here is the truth. So some of these old school 20th century thinking white men believe in Trump because he's their last great white hope. So therefore, President Obama did not usher these hateful men in. What happened is the Tea Party got mad because they see that people of color in different positions are rising to the advancement level, and white men are getting upset. So they came up with all type of conspiracies about the former president and other black people, including Donald Trump and his wife, because she's not exempt from this conversation either. Some people may not get what I'm saying, because I'm not proving Megan's point. I'm just saying white men's guilt has been around before President Obama. It has been around since the ending of the whole segregation. That's what really is stoking them. And what's stoking them more is when black people would get positions, high positions like them. Doesn't mean we get the same pay, because we still get paid less. There's still no equal pay, really, honestly, to tell you the truth. I'm keeping it 100. But we are rising in positions. We're getting our bachelors, our masters, our PhDs, and they hate it. And we're becoming entrepreneurs while getting all this education and all this knowledge, right? So they have an issue with black advancement. So that's where this whole culture war and swastikas and people protesting, that's where it comes from. That's where all this shit comes from. So when Donald Trump is running, he was speaking to the fear that white men has been feeling since the ending of segregation. Since post the Civil Rights Movement. So that's what they've been feeling for a very long time. And so when Meghan McCain says President Obama ushered this thing in, I just look at her like she lost her goddamn mind. I don't even really like to pay attention to her, honestly, when I watch The View, because I just feel like she just say things off the cuff just to say things, just to make herself relevant. But you really end up in the blogs and news and stuff for stuff that you said that's inaccurate. And thank God for like people like Roland Martin, who called her out and list a whole thread of that culture wars has been around for a long time. Not as smart as he is, because he's super smart, but he really laid it out. My theory is it's been around since the post-civil rights movement. And that's where that white man guilt come from. So Meghan McCain needs to do her homework before she even say shit out of her mouth. Going to another topic, which is Marco Rubio has been named as the acting chair of the Intelligence Committee, which I'm like, really? Couldn't find anybody better. But who is better in the Senate on the Republican side anymore? The last Republican that seemed halfway decent died. And that was that silly girl, Meghan McCain's father. Now you got somewhat Romney is halfway decent. But I don't know his motives half of the time, because his motives be like, So you don't know what toe line they fall under. So it's like, I don't really trust the GOP like that, you know? I really don't. So that's where we are. But, yeah, he's the acting chair of the Intelligence Committee since Burr stepped down. And another reaction, I didn't put it on my list, but from President Obama's speech on Saturday that he made to the graduating class of 2020, his commencement speech. So I saw a snippet on the Fox and Friends interview. Karl Rove, who, those who don't know him, he served in the Bush administration. I forgot what his title was, but he served in the Bush administration. He's quoted and said the former president's commencement speech was like a drive-by shooting. What would make him say that? A white man like Karl Rove, a staunch conservative, will say such a thing and say President Obama's speech was like saying like a drive-by shooting. Like, who in the hell are you? Like, that is insane. You're an idiot. You're not even an idiot. You're racist. That's a racist statement. Like, a hit dog will holler. Like, he's saying the quiet parts out loud. It's like this Republican Party today have no shame in their game. It's like it's all coming out because Trump has emboldened them to say the things that they say. And after some of these black Republicans, and not the real ones, not like Tara Satmire, Shamichael Singleton, or even Sophia A. Nelson. You got people like Candace Owens and Brian Tatum and Diamond and Silk, who are the freaking black mouthpieces. Oh yeah, I forgot. Paris Denard, the black mouthpieces of Donald Trump. I can't forget Steve Cortez, who is Hispanic, or the mouthpieces of Donald Trump. They will say anything and say he's not racist, but he's ill-informed. How stupid can you be? Because you didn't like the policies, or President Obama didn't do enough for black people, so Donald Trump is the black president? Get the hell out of here. He says a lot of racist crap all the time, and he's been saying it for a very long time. I'm a New Yorker. I know how this man operates. This man was no friend to black people. He never went uptown to Harlem. Never seen him uptown in Harlem. Maybe he did went to Harlem, but I never seen him uptown in Harlem. And I lived in Harlem, born and raised, for 26 years before I moved to the Bronx years ago. And then moved out of the Bronx 3 years ago. So I'm not understanding like how people can't see his ignorance. But God be the glory. That's just people that's people like that. This is why we need to vote in November, because I can't take this. I've been dealing with this for 3 years and it's making my hair fall out. Plain and simple. It's a comment here. They don't think I do. They not, I think, like him because he is half black. And what it is systematic racism and implicit biases. You're right. It is. Yep. And I watched Stacey Abrams. She's another good one. She may be good for the cabinet. Not sure for the VP-ism, but speaking of VPs, so I read an article about VPs, and Jonathan Capehart, who is a very, very good journalist for the Washington Post, he's an opinion columnist, and he wrote an article of 4 black women that could possibly be VPs. He said Val Demings, the representative of Florida on the Orlando district, who was one of the impeachment managers for the recent impeachment. Then it's fine. It's fine. And then you have Stacey Abrams, of course, that was one of them. The former gubernatorial candidate for Georgia. And then you have Susan Rice, the former UN ambassador and the former national security advisor under the President Obama administration. And you have U.S. Senator and former presidential candidate Kamala Harris. Honestly, I told everybody what my pick was because I do want a black woman, because I miss the very first African American president in office, not just because he was black, because he actually got things done. And he was the president for everybody, not just the president for one group of people like this one. This president was the president of everybody. And right now we need a unifier, because this country is so broken on so many levels that we need someone to heal us, because we need to be healed again. And we need to be reminded that there is hope in the atmosphere. There is a blessing in the atmosphere. That's what we need to be reminded of. So I already told you what my VP pick was. If you want to send me questions about, who could be the next VP pick, just let me know. God, I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. But the final thoughts on this is just stay informed. Don't take hydroxychloroquine, please. Don't inject bleaching yourself. If you need to get a test for COVID, just check the local listings in your area. Some states are doing testing, and I don't know what's going on in the other states, but I know if you live in New York, check the local listings for testing, take the test, and just to see if you're asymptomatic, you're negative. I hope everyone is negative, because coronavirus, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to resolve from it. Hopefully no one catches it. So my thought process, if you want to test, get a test. Otherwise, stay safe, wear your gloves, stay sanitized, and connect with your loved ones. That's a wrap for it. Good night. See you tomorrow at 11:15.